Good morning everyone! Welcome to my learning channel, Sir Fox Learning Channel. At kung bago ka sa channel na ito, huwag niyo pong kalimutang i-click ang subscription button at ang notification bell all para updated ka sa mga susunod kong videos. This morning, I would like to talk about module number 3 of Psychological First Aid, about identifying and addressing needs. This module aims to identify one's current needs and those of one's family. Especially this time of pandemic, what are those needs within the family or even our closest friends? And this also aims to become aware of the various institutions, departments, and centers present within the school environment and immediate community. Dapat aware ka kung ano, or dapat malaman po natin ano ba yung mga present institutions na pwede po nating lapitan in terms of situations na kailangan po nating humingi ng tulong. Okay, another thing, to take note of the important numbers and informations regarding who to approach for their needs. So, dapat mayroon tayong mga contact numbers or hotlines sa atin, bahay or tahanan, in case of emergency. Of course, since tayo ay asynchronous learning or lesson, we're dealing asynchronous lesson, for your outputs ay ilalagay nyo ulit sa inyong mga journal na gagawin. We have two activities for this module, activity number 1 and activity number 2. So we will address this morning, we will address or identify some of the agencies na dapat po nating lapitan. At the same time, we will also identify basic needs according to World Health Organization in 2011. Some of the basic needs na kailangan po ng humanity are food, shelter, water, clean toilets, and health services. And for those who are ill and injured, and for those who seem to be suffering from anxiety, trauma, and depression. Especially this time of pandemic, some of us are thoroughly affected of the situation. Natanggalan ka na nga ng trabaho, wala ka nang feeling mo wala ka nang magawa sa buhay, and the government provides some social services so that matters. And then simple and correct information about the event, loved ones, and services available for them. Ano ba yung mga simple services o information na dapat alam po natin sa tahanan? Access to cell phones, internet, email or other to contact loved ones and other sources of social support. Especially this time, napakahirap po ng sitwasyon natin. Hindi tayo pwedeng basta-basta mag-travel from one place to another, and therefore, kailangan po natin ng access for communication using cell phones, internet, etc. Telephone. And then being consulted about major decisions that will directly affect their lives. So, dapat alam po natin kung kanino ba tayo direkta na pwedeng lumapit kung may mga kailangan po tayo. For example, being transported to another province or moving to a bank house, etc. So I have seen or watched isa sa mga vlogs sa YouTube about yung mga indigenous persons na gustong umuwi sa kanilang province sa Mindanao, na tinatawag nating Badjao. Pero ang sabi niya, hindi nila alam paano mag-asikaso, mag-process ng travel pass. So, kaya nagpapatulong sila dun sa vlogger na nag-post ng napanood kong video na yon. So, yung mga ganong situation, it cannot be assumed that just because students are at home, then all their basic needs have been met. So, lalo na sa panahon ngayon, it doesn't mean na you as a student, dahil nasa bahay kayo, you are safe. Pero sana lahat na nasa bahay. Yung iba kasi sa inyo, kahit hindi dapat, lumalabas. The government aims to protect your good health, your life. Ay sana matuto po tayong sumunod. So, it is essential to have venue where students can express their needs and see how the school can help them access this. So, tayo sa school, kaya po tayo merong learning modalities kasi inaalam din po natin yung kakayanan ng bawat estudyante para matugunan ano yung pwedeng maiabot na tulong ng excuse me po, paralan. Okay? So, I would like to present to you some of the common needs of survivors after disaster and pandemic. So, ito yung mga ilang common needs na madalas kailangan ng mga survivors from disasters or even from pandemic. Some of the general common needs is, syempre, finding the missing member of the family or aiming to have medical assistance to those who were hurt and to gain access to list of casualties and to know how many were affected. So usually, ginagawa po yan ng government agencies natin. And to provide proper burial facilities for those who have passed on. So yun yung mga general needs after disaster or pandemic. Aside from that, isa sa mga common need is food, of course, and water. Kaya kasi nakaligtas ka nga sa disaster, pero wala ka nang makain, wala kang mainom na maayos, mamamatay ka din, di ba? Kaya one of the common need is food, water, which that's why it is important na mayroon tayong water lines na maayos and access to source of water for multiple purpose, food for number of times of days. Family goods like blanket, clothes, beddings, tarpaulins, flashlight, storage boxes, underwater or dignity kits, and disinfectants or alcohol. Ito po yung mga basic needs po na kailangan po natin. Dapat mayroon din po tayo sa bahay. Fuel for vehicle. May sasakyan ka pero walang fuel. Shelter, temporary shelter or building materials to be used for repair. So, yun po yung mga common needs na meron po or usually kinakailangan after the pandemic or disaster. Okay, this morning, your first activity is to write down list of emergency contact numbers and its information. So, meron po tayong inihandang table po dyan. Yung basic na dapat meron po kayo is yung, of course, yung contact number ng iba't ibang contact number ng barangay. Pero magbibigay po ako ng ilang mga hotlines na meron po yung ating government agencies. Just, for instance, of course, yung 911 is, yun po yung basic na hotline po natin. The 911 is the National Emergency Hotline. And itong ibibigay ko po sa inyo, ipapakita ko po sa inyo, ay kinuha ka po sa www.gov.ph regarding sa different DRR hotlines or government agencies hotline. The first hotline is the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Hotline. So, nandyan po sa ating screen. Ito pong hotline, it functions as an arms, o ito pong agency na to, it functions as an arms of the local government, and these offices are responsible to create a local disaster risk reduction management. So, mula sa national government, sa local government, hanggang po sa barangay, mayroon po tayong National Disaster Risk Reduction Management team. Even yung school, mayroon din po tayong DRR team. Okay? Another hotline, papakita ko po sa inyo, is the Office of the Civil Defense. Nandiyan po sa ating screen yung hotline po niya. Take down for that. Ito naman po is itong OCD naman is an organization with the Philippine Department of National Defense, and it serves as the implementing arm of the National Disaster Risk Reduction Management Council. It has a primary mission of administering a comprehensive national civil defense and disaster risk reduction management program by providing leadership in the continuous development of strategic and systematic approaches, as well as measures to reduce vulnerabilities and risk to hazard. So, kaya po, maririnig lagi po natin yan, lalo na ngayong may pandemic, nandyan po lagi si OCD. Okay? Si NDRR MC, nandyan po lagi yan. Another hotline, ipapakita ko po sa inyo, is the hotline of Department of Social Welfare and Development. The primary government agencies which is mandated to develop, implement, and coordinate social protection and poverty reduction solutions for and with the poor or vulnerable and disadvantaged. So, sila po yung nag-provide po niyan. And another hotline ibibigay ko po sa inyo, the Red Cross, which provides major services, blood services, disaster management services, safety services, health services, and social services. And aside from that, we have also the DILG, which assists the President in the exercise of general supervision over local government and advise the President in the promulgation of policies and rules. And so many hotlines na nandito po sa ating screen that you could have at home. Pero basically, syempre dapat alam po natin yung local hotline sa ating local government, kung saan man po kayo nasasakop na local government. Halimbawa, kung ikaw ay taga-Imus, dapat alam mo kung ano yung hotline ng Imus City Government. At the same, yung mga agencies ng Imus City Government. And most especially, the hotlines na meron po ang inyong barangay. Dapat alam niyo po yan. Kaya yun po yung gagawin ninyo for activity number 2. Alamin ninyo yung mga hotlines na meron po ang inyong lugar hanggang sa school. Okay? So, that's activity number 1. For activity number 2, you will show the list of common needs of survivors after a disaster or after a disaster. So ilalagay nyo yung list of survivors or list of survivors from the situation that we're facing right now, which is the pandemic. And then you will titingnan mo kung ano yung common needs na kailangan po nila from this disaster or from this pandemic that we're facing right now. And then ano pa yung iba pa nilang mga kakailanganin para mag-survive. And gagawin ninyo, gagawa po kayo ng table as shown on the screen. Gagawa kayo ng table in 3 columns. First column is members of the family whom you live with. So, sino ba yung mga kasama nyo dyan sa bahay nyo? That's the first column. Who are known as the survivor of the pandemic. Survivor kasi, by God's grace, up to now, hindi pa rin tayo naapektuhan ng virus. So, di ba, we have to thank God for that. Second column, identify the immediate need of this person that your family cannot address as of this moment. So, ano yung immediate need? And then, the third column is identify where you can refer this person or who you can approach in order to ask for help regarding the needs of this person. Kaya kailangan nyo alamin yung hotline sa first activity kasi yun yung pwede nyong ma-identify. Yung need ni tita ay ito. Ang need ni kuya ay ito. Wala si kuyang trabaho. Saan ba ako pupunta? Ako po ay hindi pa nakakapag-enroll. Saan ako pupunta? Or yung kapatid ko hindi pa nakakapag-enroll. Saan ako pupunta? Etc. etc. Wala pa akong barangay clearance. Okay? So, yun ang gagawin po natin. So, as shown on the table, you have there 2 tables to fill in. Table 1 for activity number 1. Table 2 for activity number. Now, after working those activities 1 and 2 for this module number 3, why do you think these groups had a hard time? Or why do you think these groups, or who do you think this group were able to help you very well? Sino kaya sa kanila yung pwedeng makatulong to this group, to these members of the family na sa tingin nyo nahihirapan para mag-pursue ng kanilang sistema sa buhay? And lastly, can you tell me how you will apply this new knowledge to your life right now? So, siguro dun sa dulo ng inyong gagawing output, dun sa dulo, ilagay nyo na lang kung as generalization, kung paano nyo i-apply yung bago nyong natutunan for this module. Okay? So, still, ilalagay nyo pa rin yan in a form of journal. So, dun sa journal niyo sa pinaka-conclusion nyo, lalagay nyo, paano mo i-apply yung natutunan nyo na dapat meron ka palang mga hotline numbers sa bahay or even nakasave dun sa phone mo or contact number ng relatives, ng barangay, ng mga organization sa barangay para madali mo silang ma-reach out in case of emergency. So ano yung paano mo i-apply yan ngayon sa lifestyle mo or paano mo i-apply sa daily life mo yung mga bagong information na natutunan po natin sa module na to. Okay, that's all for today. I hope enjoy working your output and at the same time learning well socially, psychologically, preparing ourselves for the opening of the class, which is few days from now on. So, I hope na itong ating mga dinidiscuss from the psychological first aid will help you enhance your preparedness for the opening of the school year. Again, as for Sir Fox, don't forget the heavenly creator who is in control of everything. We can do all things through him who gives us strength. That's all for today. God bless you.